It's a tough song. Hey, Tony Winston here, Jazz Piano College, Inner Urge. I did a little clip the other day of me playing this along with the backup track, the Jamie Aebersold track. It's kind of a noisy track. It's not really one of my favorites, but got some great players on it, of course. And I think what I'm going to cover in this song is taking a look at the modes that you can use to improvise on this chord progression. And a lot of the time, you know, we talk about these modes of the major scale: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian. And in a lot of like regular jazz standards, you really don't have to think about the modes. If you're going E minor, A minor, D minor, right? So there I played the Phrygian, the Aeolian, the Dorian, the Mixolydian, and the Ionian mode, and I never thought of one of those because I was just playing the C major scale the whole time. So on songs like that, you don't really have to think about the modes. It's more appropriate on a song like this that does not have 2-5-1s. It's really kind of even hard to tell what key this song is in. So let's take a look at the chord progression and the modes that we can use. And honestly, there's just really two modes we're going to use. The Locrian, which is a very easy one to find right here on F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And we're going to take that third and move it up to the 11th. And you'll see this is very similar to, you know, a D dominant 7th that we could use, or maybe an A minor 6-9. And the scale we want to use here is the G major scale, but starting on the F sharp. All right, so that's the scale. And, you know, we want to make our ideas kind of sound like they're in F sharp. And it's got a little blues in there too. Now, another scale that's useful for this particular chord is where you add this, the second degree is also raised like this. But I never heard McCoy Tyner using that scale when I listened to his solo. He just seemed to stick with this one. Okay, now all the rest of the chords here are going to be Lydian mode. So we're going to take F major 7th, flat the 5, like the good book says. And you'll see this looks just like, say, G dominant 7th, or maybe D minor 6-9. And if you were like thinking of it as a G dominant 7th, and you're going to use the Mixolydian mode, you see it's all white keys because we lowered that 7th. Right? The same scale and the same chord can also be thought of as F major 7 with a flat 5. And if we start on F, you see we have not the F major scale, but the F Lydian, where you take the 4th and raise it up. All right, of course, in this key, it's very simple because it's all white keys. And I did hear McCoy using, you know, some of his 4th voicings like this as he accompanied his solo. All right, now we get to E flat. And I've done this video 3 times now, and I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. I was talking about, oh, you can think of it as the B flat major scale, and it's only got 2 flats, even though E flat's got 3 flats. But the easiest way is just to think of an E flat major scale, and, you know, and raise the 4th degree here a half a step, okay? And then you get this. All right, so if you don't know Lydian mode, it's a pretty easy one to go over. You can just use regular major 7ths, but keep sharpening that 4. All right, and just do it in every key. Because I think you need just about every one of them when we get down here to the B section. He goes through a lot of chord changes, so. All right, continuing along, I think I was on the E flat on the 3rd line here, and these little quick chords there are just passing chords, so you don't really have to think about that when you're improvising. Just stay on E flat major. All right, and then here's D flat, the sharp 4, and then the rest of the D flat major scale. Okay, so if you don't know your major scales, this song is a little advanced for you. All right, so obviously you need to know your major scales, and if you haven't studied the modes really, I don't think the fingering changes. You just sharp the 4. All right, now before we get into the B section, let me just talk a little bit about some of the melodic ideas that you could use. Let's take F major with the flat 5. And I've talked before about using these kind of patterns, where it looks like a 1, a 4, and a 5 on some scale, right? So, but look at this one. All right, and it's reminiscent of the melody too. But instead of a 1, 4, 5, it's got the half step there. So it's like a 1 and then a sharp 4 and a 5. All right, and just thinking about the 3 notes, not thinking in any particular key. So, now that seems like it might be a tough one to do, but if you do it like this, there are some kind of Art Tatum patterns. Back on F sharp. On E flat. And just running up the scales. And of course, all the usual tricks that work. So we've established that we're going to use the Lydian mode. And actually, even on this first one, if you think about it as C Lydian, because we could invert that chord like this, and then it looks like C major 7, with a flat 5. So, yeah, let's even simplify this song even more and just think about this first chord as being C Lydian. Which is G major scale. Then here we're going to think about F Lydian. It's C major scale, but I think it's better to think about the Lydian scale that you're using. All right? That way you don't get confused between the scale and the chords. It's an F chord, kind of a weird F chord, but it's an F chord and it's an F scale. Lydian scale. And you'll see as you move through the chords, there's a lot of common notes between, this one, right, and this one. A few common notes. E flat, now to D flat. Right, so you can use kind of bebop ideas, or you can use more modern ideas where you're using fourths, right? That's a fourth. I usually kind of invert it to that because I can think of it easier for some reason. But maybe you think of it easier this way. Or even this way. All right. And then we get to the B section. Now, the melody in the B section, let me just play it for you. So far, the notes fit the chords, but what about this? You can't say that fits the D major chord, but it fits the next chord that you're getting to, sort of. And then right here, you're anticipating, with these 2 notes, you're anticipating that B flat major 7th. And notice the Lydian note there. Right? So this is all C major. And then A major. This I find particularly hard to do quickly. So I put an extra note in sometimes, like that. And then, see right there, we're going into B flat ahead of time. We're anticipating the B flat. Because, see, those notes, they're in the measure with A major, but they fit the B flat chord that's coming up. And then right here, that's anticipating the G chord. All right, and I think I have another little video where I go over all the fingering and everything. If you want to, as a piano player, play the head to this song. I don't know if I've ever heard a piano player play the head to it, but it's a challenge if you want to try to do it. So far, I've not been able to play it up to tempo with the recording there. I got close, but not quite there yet. So let's talk about improv in the B section now. I think a good idea is to play Lydian mode, but anticipate the next chord that's coming. If you're on E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, right there I anticipated the D major. So I'm always going to try to be a little bit ahead of myself with my right hand. So. Pretty random, but let me try it again. Maybe I'll get some better ideas. Also, the chords that you play in the left hand will affect the way you hear what you're doing in the right hand. Like I kind of discovered that you can go E major like this, and it goes right to the D flat there. Another way to do it is to play E flat major like this, and then D flat major like this. Very good close voice leading there. We could maybe take our D major. We've got some notes in common there. And we'll just slide that up a half step. Or maybe we'll try this. And, I kept this note the same. Everything else moves. Half a step there means it's smooth voice leading. And it'll suggest things to you as you play. And then we get to our B flat. Here, again, we can use Lydian, but we want to flat the 7th if we want to, stay true to the chord, and that's called a Lydian dominant scale. It's actually a mode of the F minor melodic ascending. So that's another scale that you can do modes with. Minor melodic ascending. All right, so you can use that on F minor 6. You can use it on B flat. You can use it on E altered. Okay, E altered. I'm just playing E7 here, but the scale puts all the altered notes in there. And what else? There's other ones. And then we get to G major. We'll just use the Ionian mode. G major scale. Though the Lydian might work there too, it gives you at least a slight, because you're going to F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and we're already using the G major scale there. So maybe we want to use G Lydian here. Yeah, it gives it more of a change of character there. That's it. That's all I got. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you to my loyal supporters over there on Patreon and even right here on YouTube. Just giving me a like and a subscribe, and I thank you greatly. All right, see you guys again later.